All right, guys. You guys want to blow up your back? Saw I blow my back up. You want a mass building back workout? Try this. You want bulging lats? You want Tyrannosaurus traps? You guys want lats like Dorian Yates with half the work and half fucking genetics? You want to figure out how to not work hard, get big? You want, this is the shortcut channel.
You get that part where I gotta take a dump?
I got it now.
It's always that weird in-between feeling when you're not sure if you gotta go or not. You don't want to ruin your workout though, you know? Dumping mid-workout is awful. You lose all your rhythm. Anyway, so I put up a thing on Instagram just asking people, like, I do a lot of videos on a lot of different stuff. I focus on certain things that I see are the most glaringly obvious in terms of like what's a repeat offender in terms of bad behavior, I guess you could say, and like poor performance. So it's like I've also had my issues with my hip, like having hip surgery and stuff like that, and my shoulder surgery, the same thing. I didn't really have actually the ability to fucking do certain positions with legs just because I had to stabilize. Brother, I got one more set there. Oh. Yeah, so I've been trying to show different variations of how to hit your quad. I use this machine a lot just because I like that it's unilateral. I can use my weaker or whatever, my dominant leg, however I need to use it. But the whole idea being that like a lot of the stuff that I show when I do quad, I'll do stuff falling away. A lot of stuff I show people, they rock away and they extend, they fire out. So they're firing off. My idea is that wherever my pressure is on the pad, whether it's inside pressure on the inside of my knee or outside pressure, wherever I roll to that pressure against this pad and I roll my leg to the side, I feel more outer quad. Whether that's scientifically proven or not, it doesn't matter to me because I feel where it's working. So I don't give a fuck what a textbook tells me. I don't give a fuck what professor fucking whoever says to me, right? So understanding that where I put pressure and where I apply tension, where I put intent is where I feel pressure. I don't feel a lot of pressure in my vastus medialis, like my teardrop, when I'm leaning over to this side. I do, because at the top it's heavily strained, but I don't feel as much when I'm rocking over here. So in order to hit that teardrop more, but the whole idea would be that I'm now not going to lean so much, I'm going to rock towards the inside pressure. So if I want to hit teardrop more, I'm going to rock towards inside pressure. I'm going to lean and I'm going to roll knee flat down, the back of my hand, back of my knee, flat down into here. So it's not going to be that drastic when I kick, because you're not going to be seeing me go like this, but my tension is moving down into this inside knee, right? So when I extend off, I can lock out almost on teardrop. So if I really rock to this side or set my pressure down into that inside and push up through, straight through my shin, as opposed to turning or lifting out, straight through my shin, I get extension off here. So I'm firing down into the seat and I'm sweeping through, pushing through. It's not my idea to kick up like we talked about, it's to drive through that pad, squeeze through, push down on this edge, right? So it's the same thing here. I'm trying to squeeze through. I have a straight foot position. I'm not open or curved or trying to roll. I'm just straight and flexing down. So I'm moving through this inside area, straight up through. So I feel like this is almost being pulled over and rocking up. I'm always rocking on teardrop, up through, sliding up through. For me, it was hard after my hip surgery because like your leg just doesn't want to do certain things when it's been fucked up for so long. So it's like you have to intentionally set yourself up to get certain muscles to fire. And that's just one of the muscles on me that like my left is good, my right still lags, right? So it's just this idea that like we talked about before, like full range of motion for full range of motion's sake, like the full range of motion of the movement isn't necessarily going to elicit better results or better engagement, because you're just, like we talked about before, like you come down with noodle arms and bang your chest with the bar, push the bar away. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I came up with the fart training, right? Very specific, technical, textbook level stuff, right? Fart training. Because it's true, it's a full active range of tension. I don't care about like, yes, I care about getting as much range of motion as possible within the realm of tension, but I don't want to go so far that like, I don't want to create this, I don't want to, if I range just between here and here, I don't want to like go below that and lose it and catch it again and come up, or go high and catch it and come back down. I want to keep rocking within that region, right? So people just need to understand, like, it's not necessarily, people's range of motion could be significantly less than you think it should be, and they could be sitting on muscle. Like, there's this debate all the time. I saw comments after we talked about it on Bro Chat, talking about, oh, Sean Roden, rest in peace to him, when he did legs, I don't know, because I've never really watched Sean train. He was a fantastic bodybuilder. I never specifically sat down and watched him train. But the guy was making a point that Sean did very little full range motion stuff on legs, in terms of quads especially, and he had some of the best legs and won the Olympia and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, he also, if he say he was moving, if you deemed full range of motion to be 15 inches, a 15-inch lengthening or shortening, right? This is the width that we're going. Say he only went to here, but he was able to lock on muscle and move on muscle in that range and feel everything. That's more productive than the person that's just feeling the range, going through the range of motion, and maybe not keeping as much tension as humanly possible in that muscle, right? Or being engaged as much, or being as relaxed in their joints, allowing the muscle to take the weight. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So you have to understand, not everything you see, especially really gifted people doing, is going to correlate to you. You might be one of those gifted people. You could be someone with like 34-inch quads that are just, and you're 5'7", and you just like, you know what I mean, your legs rub together, and you come on this leg extension, you literally like, you can just be here, you get up, that quad's blown out, right? But for the mere mortals among us, like myself and others, right, we're gonna have to find that range of tension through going through a full range of motion, understanding like, okay, if I kick out here and I squeeze, like, yes, you get here, I understand when I get to about here, I kind of lose everything. So I don't want to like, I don't know if I necessarily want to come that low all the time. I want to like understand, okay, I'm off here, I move. I come back to this kind of rocking area and I fire. I wouldn't want to come down and go. As much as it is still doing what you're supposed to do, I want to find that active range of tension so that I'm rocking on muscle. I'm never letting this muscle relax. So yes, it's stretching, it's squeezing, it's contracting, it's whatever, but it's like I'm rocking on this muscle so that I can keep as much tension on it as I can, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, range of motion is important, but tension's even more important. Like if I had to argue with someone, I would tell them like, yeah, I'd rather have a guy keep tension on the muscle, a guy or a girl keep tension on a muscle and work that muscle and really force blood to that muscle, than for them to be doing like, and like, I mean, it's taking the intensity of it. We're still missing that X factor, which is like, how much blood can I force into that muscle in that rep, in that set, in that rep, in that whatever we're doing, we're workout, right? So the idea is to still create this pumping up of a balloon effect, or like a beach ball blowing up. I don't think personally that if you're doing this full range of motion, like not keeping tension necessarily, like keeping enough tension to keep yourself obviously in the movement, but like you're just focusing on like these lengthening, full shortening, all this stuff. It's like, I think that you'd be hard pressed to find that your workout is going to be that intense at the end of the day, in the sense that if you push the pace or cut the motion down a little bit and kept more rock out of the bottom, didn't get so much height on the top, let's say, that the workout would be more efficient. It would suck more, it's going to be harder for you. You know what I mean? So it might seem like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but you have to find those ranges of tension, right? It's the same thing on this. So if I'm going to do hamstring curls here, obviously when I get up here, and everyone's seen this machine. If you haven't seen this machine, you haven't been to a gym. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. So if I come down here lengthwise, I can maybe get off the stack this far and have my knee bent a little bit. If I straighten my leg on this, that's where I am. Because this thing doesn't click where it should click, which is like under here. So in the sense that I'd want to be, the other room has it, we'll show it. In the sense I'd want to be able to grab here, and then when I straighten out my leg to level with here, I'm already off the stack. So I have this much room underneath for it to slide back, almost hyperextend me, that I come out of hyperextension, now I can move. So this machine is shit for that. So this machine, for example, you have to shorten your range of motion to feel it. So I almost have to think of this as like if I was doing a preacher curl, or I was doing like, yeah, maybe a preacher curl over like a preacher curl bench. if I empty over a preacher curl bench and I hang here, my biceps in a compromised position, like on the slanted ones, let's say, right? I'm compromised here. So I'd probably want to start here and I'd probably want to rock to a spot, rock up. Keep heavy tension on my tricep and my elbow and understand this is where I'm basing my pressure so I can swing. I wouldn't want to come over a preacher curl like this and then curl, right? So it's the same thing here. I'm gonna have to come off here. I'm gonna be in the thing, I'm gonna catch here, and then I'm gonna move. So I'm never gonna get full extension, maybe almost full extension, then I roll through. But this idea of pumping a bicep or pumping a hamstring, I'm still rocking with tension in a shortened range, but I'm getting just as much out of it. I don't need to go to here. That's not full range of motion. It's like get a little tension, move up and down on your hamstring. That's all this is, right? So people think, ooh. So if this is me stiff legged, there's no tension. I'm still in the stack. So I can't do anything from here. I could hurt my hamstring pretty bad. But if I'm here, now I'm off. So I'm holding tension with a bent knee and I'm rocking. So the tension becomes my foot swinging, not my leg letting out. So what I mean when I say that is my foot, instead of the tension being like, oh, let's rise up through and rise up down, my tension is now this arc of coming around and around. So this is my foot swinging around and letting out around, not going, it's around. So I'm keeping this tension here on my heel and I'm rocking up through a bicep or a hamstring. It's the same thing, right? The mechanics are the same. If you can't start correlating your bicep and your hamstring to being the same type of mechanics, you're gonna have a hard time understanding where your hamstring's at. And you see the guys that have the hard time understanding where their hamstring's at usually have kind of shitty biceps too. You know what I mean? They kind of go together. So this whole notion of like this type of hamstring curl on this machine, because of its inefficiency of being able to lengthen, people would almost view it, fucking sweating like a pig. People would almost view it as like a partial. But the thing is, let's understand that I can target different areas of muscle or different like lengthening and reaching out ranges of motion of muscle by where I start the movement. So if I start the movement, this is the top of my hamstring meets my ass. Let's say this is here. It's where my bicep inserts in my shoulder. So if I understand that I've held tension here, this is my top of my hamstring, this is my ass now. If I'm letting out from here and letting my hamstring slide down towards my knee and rocking up back into my height of my hamstring, so I'm trying to work this top end, understanding that I'm rocking out of the bottom a little quicker than I want to, then just understand I'm working tie-in and I'm working upper level hamstring more than I'm working lower at the moment. That doesn't mean that there's another machine we can do in here, we'll do right now, that will start us hitting the bottom real quick. So right where the hamstring inserts is where we're gonna be working from immediately. And we're not gonna get so much upper where it ties into the glute, right? Now a lot of girls could take note of that. You girls that hyper isolate, try to hit glute. Oh, we don't want our quads to grow. That's why we only do glute isolation stuff, because they don't want their quads to grow. You need your hamstring to grow if you want to have a nice ass, especially from the side, girls, or you're gonna look like some mangled, like Frankenstein weirdo, because you're gonna have like an ass that goes, a back that goes like this, an ass that comes out and goes straight down. Like it goes up, out, down. There's no tie-in. So there's no like curvature of the leg into the glute, which accentuates the glute. It looks weird when you have no hamstring and you have a huge ass, girls. I hate to break that to all of you. Like, the reason why the girls that you look up to look like that is because they have ass shots and they have implants in their ass. So they don't work out. So that's why they don't have a hamstring that ties into their ass. But if you're a physique competitive girl, bikini, figure, whatever, you want that hamstring to tie into your glute because it looks more complete. From every angle you look at you, except for the front, obviously, because you can't see your ass from the front, other than the sides. But like from the side, your projection is now better because you have a hamstring tie-in. You don't just look like some girl with like seagull legs. You know what I mean? This big booty off these stick legs. It's like, it just looks awful. It amazes me the beauty standards that have come to be accepted nowadays that are just like, oh no, that looks good. It's like, no, it looks awful. No one likes that. Like, and some people pay to look like that. Many variations of standing hamstring curls. out there, this happens to be a pretty fucking good one. Just because of the steepness of the angle. Like the fact that this is like literally flat down to the ground, 90 degrees. There's no like forward lean. There's no anything like that. Like where you stand over and then now you're leaning and you're doing it. Like this is like stiff as a board, right? So if I trap my leg through this one, if I trap my leg in here, like we've talked about before, this is now hyperextended. So as you can see, my hip is behind my foot when I start. So to even that out, I have to get here. Now I'm in line. Now my foot's behind my hip, and now I can rock. But I have all this wiggle room in here to be free that you don't have on any other machine. So I can break quickly here because I can bend knee quickly. I don't have to get momentum and swing up. If you got momentum and swing up here, you don't do it right. It looks like shit. You don't feel anything. If I scoop from the bottom here and I break heel right away and I kick heel up and drive knee, I roll up through. So it's a kick and a bend into here. I'm smashing my knee like that into here. So if there was space, you'd see me smash. But there's no space, so you just see swing. But I get length here, longer than I could ever get, and rock. I can create more length by letting myself get hyperextended, roll through. But don't get small. Don't get here and start going. And when it gets hard, I start getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, right? The idea is to keep that posture and almost have it be like a teeter-totter in the sense that when like the hip, when my shoulders are forward here, and this is my legs down here, I'm here and I'm rocking up. So they balance each other out, right? So the body momentum and the body swing allows for that foot to swing and come back down. So they're counterbalancing each other. So there's a million, we'll do a little more, I'll do some more sets here so you can see me do it, but we'll do the seated after as well. There's a lot of variations for hamstring and hamstring curls. They can elicit just as much result in beef and meat and development of your hamstring as like stiff leg deadlifts. Like you guys are all obsessed with stiff leg deadlifts and all of you hurt yourselves on them. All of you fucking like get bulging discs later in life. When I see guys doing like 4-plate stiff leg deadlifts off the floor, I want to fucking go over and kick them right in the stomach and be like, stop doing that. Like, why are you doing that when you don't need to do that? It's nowhere near an isolatory movement for the fucking hamstring. It is a complete body movement and it is fucking hard on your body. Your body is not meant to fucking stand here stiff-legged with 4 plates and go like this and stand up through here. And if it is meant to do that, you know what's working harder than your hamstrings? Your fucking back and your erectors and fucking everything else to keep you in that posture. So the hamstrings are taking like what, 30, 40% of that load. Your hips are locking down the weight because you're setting your hips. So don't mistake hip tension for hamstring development. If I can keep my hips really tense here and I can fall over and all these people sit down into stuff and they stand up here, all they're doing is keeping this hip tension. So just because I kept my butt tight and my hips tight, I'm just hinging. It's just a hinge movement. There's no stretch in my hamstring. Just because I bent over to pick something up and I stood up doesn't mean that my hamstrings worked. If anything, you should lighten your loads like crazy and keep as stiff a leg as possible and keep the weight as close to you as possible and let your hips drift away and sit down up here. I should literally be just lifting here and driving out. Because as soon as I move my hips, I feel my hamstrings grab. I don't need to be like with this massive amount of weight. I need to have things close to me so that I can get my hips to rock back and my hamstrings to grab. So these girls, these bikini girls and fitness girls who you see them doing goblet squats, you see them doing bent over or stiff leg deadlifts with dumbbells like in between their legs, that's intelligent. And it's way less load on your spine, it's way less stress on your body, and you're gonna develop your hamstrings and those glute tie-ins better than anyone. But so will doing this shit. Like get your hamstrings to get a little meat to them, a little fucking hump off the back, you know what I mean? And watch how good that leg looks from the side. Or even these like side views like this, whatever the fuck they're doing where they're kicking side views, or shittily straight like negative like side views like this, you're gonna see this development here will lead to this development here. It'll give flow to your physique, right? Same with guys, if you guys are having trouble developing your hamstrings, why the fuck are you doing all these compound movements? You have all these machines that are like, I'm literally isolating my hamstring on every one of these machines. Even a laying hamstring curl. I'm not using quad on that. It's all hamstring. So why don't you think you can grow on that? It's like, oh, I don't want to do bicep curls I don't want to do dumbbell curls for my bicep because it's too much bicep. I want to get my shoulder involved. Another thing too, when you let up say I can't even know if I can pull this up. So I pull this up to here. This is my leg holding here. I don't want to see when guys and girls down, I don't want to see this fast drop and then this kick up. This fast drop and this kick up. I have to understand that when I let go of this here and my elbow's here, my hand, this is now my foot, has to take this and let the tempo die. And then I have to scoop up again. It's just like doing a fucking concentration curl. I'm literally doing this. So I need to let this die so I can scoop again. I can't go, because I keep getting higher and higher and I keep turning. I lose connection here. So I have to let this hand drop down, which is now my foot. So I have to be here and I have to let this tension dissipate. And then I have to scoop again. So I have to feel that swing and that sway out. You guys are letting your weights down way too fast and you're stunting the negative. So if the foot never lengthens and never pulls that hamstring all the way down to the insertion, how can I work from insertion out? So if I don't get stretch into the back of my kneecap where it inserts, how can I ever send contraction, what feels like sending contraction back up to my glute? Because that's what hamstring should feel like in your mind. It should feel like it goes, when it comes up, it squeezes, and when it goes back down, it stretches down to the knee, and it rolls back up, rolls back down, hence lengthening and shortening, right? It's not what's happening. We understand that, science dudes. Chill out. But physically, that's what it feels like to the person doing it, right? So if you don't ever feel the bicep or the hamstring, in this case, let out and stretch down into that insertion, how are you supposed to get control? How are you supposed to have full range of motion? Do you know what I mean? Because you can get full range of motion on this by going like this. I could be here and go. But I only felt things at the top range because I didn't put pressure here and start moving my foot first and then scoop. And my maximum contraction is right there. It's like halfway up, not even. So I don't need to get to here. There's no point because my hamstring curled up, my hamstring contracted to where it contracts to maximally because I swung so low and it lets it back down. I don't need to go. You know what I mean? It's about building tension. Predominantly all my weight is here. Like I could be here, I could create low tension, I could scoop low, I can change my angles all I want. But my tension's gonna be here. I'm never gonna be back here. We're straight up and like barely touching here going. I'm thinking all my weight's in my foot. None of my weight's in my foot. All my weight's in my fucking knee pad and my thigh pad here in my hands. So my foot can do whatever it wants. That's how I can isolate my hamstring because I've taken tension off the area around it. I've put tension in other places and now I can move that body part freely. That muscle can now move freely because other areas are locked down supporting my body. So I'm not trying to move that weight with my foot. My foot's just lifting the weight when it chooses to. That's what a lot of people fail to realize. It's not about bracing, getting tense. Like you'll see people that would come on this and they'd immediately brace and they'd be like, you know, you see people doing that.
100%.
Everyone does that shit.
Yeah.
Like you feel your hamstring, don't get me wrong, but you're also gonna tear it pretty fucking quick. Like all these like micro tears and all these dipshits who need PRP because they got micro tears. Guess how you got them? Being stiff and stupid. Got it on video now too.
Thanks.
It's documented from every angle. So I put up the question like, what do people want to see training advice wise?
They said.
Hold on, I gotta find this one. I'm already laughing at the answer I want to give to this. No, most of them are really good. Calves, legs, shoulder press, blah, 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 blah. Legs. We're doing legs, so fuck off. God damn. But this one, where the fuck is it now? Oh, here it is. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him. He's like, how much time in between sets should you be posing? See it lots, need guidance. Don't do it. Don't do that in the gym. Like, honest to God, guys, unless no one's watching, don't do it. You look like a fucking douchebag. Like even when I've heard this like these like fantasy stories of like, oh, you should get up and pose after you do every set and like really force that muscle there. It's like, is it, in the grand scheme of things, is it doing anything? Fucking no. Like no. And it's just making you look like you're a fucking kind of a weirdo in the gym in the sense that like you're popping up between every set going, and like, Like looking at yourself in the mirror, it's like, we have posing rooms here, man. Just fucking pop on over there when you're done. Wait till the pump is complete, and feel free to go in there and check yourself out for hours. I'm fucking standing in the mirror. Like the best of guys are like, they're like 20 feet from a mirror and they're like, yeah. So it's the same idea on any hamstring you guys do. I want to create tension out on my heel. I don't want to break that tension and think that necessarily all my tension's here on this. On the standing one we did, because we need to base off of that knee pad to be able to create leverage to swing our foot. And the same thing here, I need to base leverage off here to let my foot be free. So if I don't push into here with my knee and I think that all of a sudden I have to go pull this thing in, I have no base of leverage here to push into. So if I drive into my hands and I push down, see how smooth that curl is? Because I'm putting pressure into my hands on the way up, which is the pad, and I'm crushing my hands on the way down, which ends up lifting me a bit and sending me up this way. So if we want to stay lengthened, god damn, does this thing go up? There we go. So if I want to stay lengthened and I want to create stretch in my hamstring, I want to stay here and I want to create this lengthened state. Where when I go to curl things, I push up and I'm rising my chest and leaning back and scooping my foot from way out. So I'm reaching my foot from way out, swinging way under. Like I'm trying to sweep the ground on the way in and then sweep the ground on the way out. So I'm trying to create length, is what I'm saying. I want to imagine that this distance from here to here is literally like 5-6 inches longer, mentally. I want to think my foot's way out in front of me and I got to reach out way in front of me and grab. So I have to drive weight up into here. So when I get here, you'll know you're doing it right, because if I push into here and I plant off here and I squeeze, I can hold this here all day. As soon as I lose one of them, I'm going to want to go down. So if I want to create that lengthened feeling and get that whole hamstring, if I want to be another way, I want to catch short, I'll catch here and I'll lean. And I'll try to pull myself forward and up through things. So it's the difference between a long hanging curl, if I'm doing a bicep, I'm trying to scoop up here, to like creating a shortened curl where I want to rock. I just want to rock on that bicep and keep tension on that bicep. That would be the shortened version, would literally be me sitting here and being postured up out of the seat almost, but butt down, and trying to squeeze myself forward with my feet. So I'm trying to use my feet to pull myself up towards the wall, or to the wall in front of me. So I still have all my power in here, and all my tension in here. I'm driving up through things and driving back through. So I'm still stuck here if I want to be. Same thing as if I'm here and I pull up and I squeeze here, I'm stuck back here now. It's just what kind of tension you want to elicit in your hamstring. Not necessarily everybody's going to feel. Some guys might not connect on this lean back one because they just can't get the motion of pushing back and leaning. They lose things right about here. So they go, and they don't have that tension, right? So if you're one of these people that needs to play with it, get yourself forward and flex through things. So use your fucking feet to literally pull yourself forward out of the seat. Play with different tensions and different ways of doing it, and you'll understand like what works for you. It's not because you saw me do it or saw someone do it like, oh, they do it this way. Try the angles that work for you. Some of you might literally get to the point where like you're doing a hybrid of the two, where it's like I start rocking back and then I pull myself through because I feel that hamstring grab. When I get about halfway, I lose it. So when I drive myself through things, I squeeze. Or I might start forward and I might end up hyper arching back. You know what I mean? The idea is just to create the tension on the heel and then understand where you move from there. Don't think that you guys and girls, there's one way to do stuff. If you feel something connect on an angle that's off, that isn't full range of motion, but it's keeping tension on your hamstring the entire time, that's what you need to be doing. Don't be like, oh, well, my coach sent me this program and he said I have to do this and that, and I just curl this weight up and I just sit here like, and I just swing this weight up and down. It's like, no, play with shit. Find out what your full range of motion is, or your full range of tension, and just keep moving on weight, man. Because it doesn't have to be that stressful either. Hamstrings isn't supposed to be something where you're like holding this thing. You see people bang this. The fucking fact that you can bang that shows that you have no control over your hamstring. You're literally just fucking firing this thing into here. There's no point in holding this position. Like, do you know what I mean? Just rock, swing. The most important part of the fucking movement is the negative and the lengthening. So if I'm not lengthening and stretching, I'm not getting shit out of the movement. If you guys don't understand that on every other movement and everything to do with weightlifting, if I don't feel any of this negative, stretch my hamstrings, squeeze my hamstrings, Stretch, 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 stretch. I should be looking for the stretch every time, not looking for the contraction. The contraction will come, and it's important, don't get me wrong, but it's like not the end all be all. I want to feel my legs get pulled out. I want to sweep them back in. I want them to pull out. Because I know every time in my mind, every time that pull out happens, tear, 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 rip, rip, rip. I'm breaking down muscle fiber, right? When I contract, nothing's really happening. I'm pumping blood to the area. Now I'm stretching, squeezing, stretching, squeezing. So if you start thinking about things like that, understanding that your hamstring is basically the bicep of your lower leg, of your legs, sorry, you're gonna connect a whole lot better. Think, how do I get my biceps to fire? Oh, I don't curl fast. I don't just bring the thing up and hold my bicep. I'm slow about it. So I need to do that with my hamstring. I mean, like, start equating the two.
Sweet.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, man. Laura had a fake broken leg. She wanted to get workers' comp. Even though she's an independent contractor, she didn't realize it didn't apply to her. As soon as you realize you're gonna get workman's comp, that boot came off. You're like, fuck, get this thing off here. No one's paying me for this? Okay. So, like we talked about before, it's not ideal, obviously, to be in a hyper extended state on your knee, which I am right now because I'm holding this weight up and talking to you. So, we can obviously set this to wherever we want. People aren't fucking stupid. They've been to a gym before. I want to start this thing off where I'm laying in a hyperextended state so my leg is straight. So I want to feel that heel pulling down and literally stretching the back of my knee. Most people are going to tell you different. I'm telling you this is what you need to do to actually stretch your hamstring. So and the weight's going to be light. Even if I wasn't on camera, I wouldn't have this fucking weight heavy. So if I'm posted up here, I can be relaxed here. I don't have to be here doing all this shit or be down here and fucking pulling this thing like this. Like, again, if your hamstring pad is hitting your ass or your hamstrings, you're doing it wrong. There's no way around it. You can't argue with me, you're doing it wrong. Because you're not holding tension. You're doing full range of motion, but you're not holding tension. So here I'm already on tension on my hamstrings. I'm already curled. I have like an 1/8 of a curl going right now. 1/8 of a chub. That's immediately what I thought of it. So hips are down hard. My chest is up wherever I need to be. I'm loose here, but I'm keeping myself stable and locked down. When I go to drive, it's knee bend and quad drive into the pad and rocking through. So this is the peak of my contraction, like the peak of my bicep. I can hold here, but I'm stable here because my hips are down. When I pull down, hips press, feet let back out. So I'm arcing around again, reaching out behind me, pulling right towards the back of my head. Reach out behind you, pull your heels right to the back of your head. The more that you guys think that it's a let out, that it's my foot going out and my foot coming back, as opposed to my feet going like this, wrong. It's not an arc. We work in straight lines here, guys. So we want to create a straight line is more efficient than an arc. I want to feel like my foot at the top of this is going straight out. So if let me visually demonstrate. So if I come up here, this is the peak where my heel is. Knees down, hips are down. I want to feel like my foot literally is going to go down. It's going down on an arc because this is built on an arc, but I want to feel like my feet go back this way. Straight back. I catch, throw straight to me. So I'm pushing on this line straight back, straight up to me. Straight back here, straight to me. I'm not trying to go like this. I'm not trying to pour this onto myself and then pour it back down like a arc like that. I want this to go straight out to extension of my heel, pull right in. So the break happens here, I pull right in. I breaks here, I pull right in. So think about this as a flat surface that's going back and forth. So when you guys see this cylinder pad rolling when you kick and feel it smashing your hamstring, it's time to learn how to do hamstrings better. You ain't doing hamstrings. You may be doing like a portion of your hamstrings. That's why like you have like very poor insertions on your hamstrings. Maybe you lack like density in your hamstrings because you're just not hitting it properly. Same thing with biceps. You do all the bicep work in the world, and then you have guys who are like, oh man, whenever I have a great shot like front double from here, it really looks good, but then when I do my side chest, my arm looks like shit. It's like, yeah, because you're not training your whole bicep. There's two muscles there, hence bi, right? Not bisexual, but you know what I mean. Young kids in the gym this week, which is like cool, whatever, home from holidays. But it's funny to me, I saw there's like 2 instances that made me fucking die laughing. There was this like group of kids, and they were like actually in good shape. I'm not making fun of them at all. I just, the way the fuck they said this shit, but it also gave me hope in my mind. It gave me hope because they were looking around the gym and they were like doing different exercises, and their whole goal was what's gonna get us the most pumped. They said that out loud, and I was like, they're not here to lift just heavy weights. They're like, their goal is a pump. I was like, there's hope for the future. We're not doomed like I think. But then there was this other, I noticed that like, and this is grown men do this too, but I saw a kid doing it, but make no mistake, grown men do this. I can't even do this pose, but there's like this pose where like guys, they'll do a set and they'll walk in the mirror and they'll like flex their neck. Have you seen this? Yeah. Like I can't do, I'm not kidding you, but their neck expands to like 5 times the size, and they're like, go like this. And I saw this guy, it was just like his neck just came forward like this. I'm like, buddy, my neck doesn't even move in that direction. I've never been able to flex my neck in my life. Like go like that, Nady. Yeah. Like tense my neck, but my neck's so fat, I couldn't like, there's no way you can like push it out, but it's like the kid stood up and he was literally flexing his neck, and like it was like some point of pride, like he was like, like holy fuck. But shout out to the kids that were looking for a pump. You're on the right path.